I'm really excited to be here today. I think this is a really important topic. I'm really excited that agriculture and food security are on the agenda because I think this is a critical moment for us to really take all of the energy and ideas you have in the room, some things that are happening out in the field, and really move us forward. Over 15 years ago, I began my career at USAID, and I showed up at our mission in Ethiopia in the middle of a devastating drought, and I quickly went to work. We were feeding millions of people who were starving. And I remember as a young Foreign Service officer, just the sort of sinking feeling of all we were doing, all we were spending to feed people, knowing that they'd have to be back the next month, the next year, or a couple years after that, needing more assistance. But people had to eat, so that's what we needed to do. And almost a decade later, we have President Obama, during another global food crisis, launching the Feed the Future initiative to put an end to extreme hunger and poverty in our lifetimes. And I'm really proud to be part of this effort. And we launched a whole of government strategy, initiative that sought to sustainably address the root causes of extreme hunger and poverty. And in the years since, Feed the Future has fundamentally altered the way we approach food security and nutrition. Through the initiative, we're actively partnering with developing countries to help them revitalize their agriculture sectors, transforming their economies and putting their systems out of poverty and hunger in the process. And by working with governments, private companies, universities, other donors, and civil society, we're helping millions of poor subsistence farmers improve their productivity, nutrition, connect to financial services and markets, and build better lives for their families and for their communities. And Feed the Future model is really proving itself in country after country, increasing incomes for smallholder farmers and contributing to notable drops in poverty and childhood stunting in many of the places where we work. So, in the words of a young Zambian I met recently, she said, "There's money in the soil." And I love that. And I think it's true. We're seeing just how many people working across food systems in developing countries are really climbing out of poverty. So nearly 7 years into Feed the Future's work, we are evolving to better meet the shifting needs. So as we've been discussing today, the world is changing rapidly. And we know that over the next decade, there will be 1 billion young people who will enter the job market. And over the next 10 years, we're going to need to create another 600 million jobs to employ those people. So we'll need to do that to keep up. And when it comes to food security, tremendous progress has been made, but there are still 800 million people who don't have the food they need to lead a healthy and productive life. And by 2050, the world's population is projected to exceed 9 billion. And in Africa, where currently there's 15%, this share will increase to 25%, which combined with changing diets in an increasingly urbanized world will require a 60% increase in food production. So there is a lot that the development community, donors, government, civil society can do to help close all those gaps that I've just discussed, and they're really big. But ultimately, for lasting large-scale change to occur, it's going to have to happen at the local level, and this is where we know that youth come in. So what Feed the Future's journey to date has shown us is that our job is to be creating the environments that help the entrepreneur, the small business owner, smallholder farmer, many of whom are young people, grow and expand their enterprises. And there are huge opportunities for youth working in food systems and the broader agricultural field. And youth are critical to the future of agriculture and to the success of Feed the Future's efforts. So people say that youth aren't interested in agriculture, but we know that that's not true. They're not interested in the agriculture of their parents. Young people bring the kind of innovation, energy, and enthusiasm that we need to tap into transformative solutions to many of our biggest problems. Youth are interested in that, and that is what we need for agriculture. So I just wanted to give an example of one of these young entrepreneurs I met last month. a Kenyan named Eric Margorie. So when Eric noticed that there were women and children collecting chicken byproducts outside of a poultry processing plant where he worked, he saw opportunity. So he quit his job and launched Chicken Choice. And it's a company that today prepares safe, affordable chicken products from processing plant leftovers for those most vulnerable to malnutrition. And so with a small investment from Feed the Future, we helped Eric keep up with growing demand, providing low-cost, nutritious foods to people across Kenya in a much more sustainable way than we ever could have done alone. And as food systems and the challenges people face become more complex, it's going to be people like Eric who will find new and transformative ways to move their communities and also our countries forward. And our job is to make it easier for them to do that. We recently released a paper called A Food Secure 2030, which shares how we can work with our partners from the government, donor community, civil society, private sector, to, among other things, empower these young people we really need to work in agriculture and these food systems. And I want to share with you a few more of these examples, how we are working with partners to make it easier for young people to start and grow businesses within their countries and emerging food systems. So we need our donor funds to be more catalytic. And one way, really that means how can we get a bigger bang for our buck out there? And one very quick example that many of you know well is an incubator. So one of these is an incubator that targets youth-run agribusinesses that we fund in Uganda. And we received 3,000 applications. The incubator selected 3 of these projects to fund and developed. Each of these projects received an in-kind grant of about $30,000 in seed money, and then also help with a full-time mentor and ongoing consultancy services. So these new enterprises are having a huge impact in Uganda and putting countless youth to work. Aquarian, which is one of the grantees, is leveraging mobile and digital technologies to help strengthen farmers' businesses. So through a network of village agents, they're helping to create farm profiles. And these farm profiles, farmers can use them to access credit, even though they may not have the traditional assets that a bank requires. They're providing important services such as soil testing, banking, market connections, and crop insurance even to help boost productivity. So with village agents also earning about $200 a month, this is through commissions, working for Aquarian in rural areas and in secondary and tertiary cities also offers young people a better life and more opportunities, which is what we seek. We know that youth gravitate to newer, more widely available mobile and digital technologies, and these technologies also have a tremendous role to play in enhancing food security and driving agricultural efficiencies. And by creating these youth-focused, technology-based agribusinesses, we can create new and more attractive jobs in agriculture. Just one more example, another example is Yafako, helping young people become commercial farmers even when they don't have land. And it's a group of, it's like a youth cooperative that provides poor young people with assets such as land, access to finance, and machinery in exchange for a commission on post-harvest sales. This is an innovative way to really bring youth into agriculture, and it's helped over 7,000 people in this way. Amarion is a female-led enterprise that provides youth bookkeeping services to farmers, traders, and farming cooperatives. And what this does is the youth bookkeepers can, they provide services at lower cost, and they help farmers formalize and maintain business records while complying with tax laws. So this is a win-win all around. So it's been incredible that we've been able to support youth-run organizations such as these, but still there is much more we need to do to help young entrepreneurs start and expand their businesses. So we in Feed the Future, as we move forward with our new strategy that was called for in the Global Food Security Act, which has codified into law Feed the Future's efforts. So as I said, we're delivering this strategy to Congress October 1st. Hopefully we have a few more hoops to jump through. But in this, we're laying out a vision, and it will be developing new ways to partner with the private sector to make it easier for them to expand the financing that is available for these types of promising ventures, especially with youth. We're supporting also governments to reform policies, touching everything from land rights to trade to seed systems to make it easier for businesses to grow and to thrive, and working with civil society to continue building the capacity of local communities and organizations. So the bottom line is that most rural youth and also youth in secondary and tertiary cities can and do work in agriculture and food systems. And meeting the challenges of the future will be ensuring that these people continue to have what they need to flourish and drive the entrepreneurship that we need. So we look forward to working with all of you as we take all of these initiatives forward, really look forward to seeing what's coming out of this conference as we move to achieve a food secure 2030.